Everyone, good afternoon and welcome to the weekly presentation. So as you're aware, today's topic is on Angular 2. To tell you about the topic, this was not the original plan that I had. I changed this topic last 2 weeks because that we were doing research on Angular 2 for the new project. So I thought that it would be much useful to anyone. So that interested, if you guys are applying for Angular 2, that it will be useful. So because of that, I changed it. But I know that there are some people who have already applied Angular 2. So I think Amila for project, and I think the .point team that they are currently using Angular 2. So there are people who have practical exposure to Angular 2, right? So than me. So just share your knowledge. I'm still learning in this stage, right? So people who have more experience, just please share your knowledge. Okay, so let's start the session. Right, so let's see the outline. We'll start with the introduction about Angular, how it evolved, Angular 2, and there was a presentation that we had, I think, maybe a long time back. Amila did about Angular 1. But I'm not going to explain what is Angular, some story, but how it evolved, Angular 2, and about what is a single page application, or we call as fast big picture, and the architecture of Angular 2, the concepts behind this Angular, and key features in ES6, ECMAScript 6 specification, and demonstration. So I'll be using a couple of sessions. The whole idea of this session is to for you to give a background information on how to about the concepts and how you are going to develop an application using Visual Studio, which is like integrating with ASP.NET kind of an application. Okay. Right. So let's use a slider. Angular 2 was announced. They were announced at a conference called NG Europe in 2004, 22nd September, and it was a huge and drastic change from 1.0 to 2.0 because they wrote the entire Angular from scratch. And the surprising part is that Angular was written in TypeScript. But I also got to know that while I was studying in this. And on April 30, 2015, they announced Angular 2, and they moved the Angular from alpha to developer preview, and they moved to beta in 2015 December.
It's like on the
Sorry about that. Okay, the first release of Angular 2 was the candidate release was published in 2016 May, and the current stable version is RC5. It was even released very recently. Again, this is not just a simple what you call a version upgrade. So this is a huge change, completely right. So that's about the introduction. Okay. The big picture. Now, before I dive into Angular, I just want to explain about what is a single page application and what's the current trend in modern web application development. Right. So let's look at these. I mean, these are easy, like you can understand this. What happens is the previous versions of the web, or what we call for legacy system, the browser requests from the server, and you just get the HTML. And it keeps going on like this, right? So basically, what happens? What I want to highlight here is that see the presentation logic resides in the server, and it produces the HTML or the content based on the logic support, and it just send the content to the browser HTML, and the browser will render it. But let's look at JavaScript client-side application, aka SPA. So what happens is when you make a request, the request server will not process anything, right? It will just do what it will do. It will first send a blank HTML page, right? It doesn't contain anything, and also it might contain some resource files. It will contain, not might. It will contain resource files. So what are the resources? JavaScripts, style sheets, images like that, right? So once that content delivered to the client, right, on the client, so it will processing, it will start executing this logic in the presentation logic will be built here, right? So the client has all these templates, UI things, and the logics to render those, and based on those, it will render HTML, and for they to get fetch the data. So you aware that it will make JSON Ajax calls or whatever the calls to get the data. So this is the this is what I am going to touch here. That is what Angular does. Okay, let's get an idea. Alright, now let's look at the architecture of Angular 2. Angular 2 consists with key 7 modules. Components. Modules, components, templates, dependency injection, services, data binding, and structural directives. So today I'm going to I will just explain you the theory part, right? Then we will see how the theory part will be applicable to the get applied to the real world scenario. Okay, right. Module. First thing, what is a module? Well, in Angular app, everything that you write, module, right? It's like classes, right? It's like separation of concern. So whatever things related will be put to your module. And not only that, Angular itself is a modular system. For example, if you take the HTTP module to make service calls, right? Remote service calls, and the forms module to build the forms, and let's say other things like router module, right? So these each and individual service, each and individual thing get put into a module and it release, so that the entire application is not bulky. You got the point, right? Just to make it a lightweight. I mean that's what I believe. I haven't done Angular 1. That's what I believe that Angular 2 is a bit lightweight to compare to Angular 1. There was a conference that very recent conference on Angular 2. They have shown the one of applications that they developed. The size of the output is very less in Angular 2. Okay. Now in Angular app, every Angular app has at least one module. At least a root module has to be there, right? So how am I going to make a Angular module? By using these decorators. So there's a module called at 10G module decorator, and you are going to make a module. So how we are going to do that? It's like this. Look at the example. Now this is a TypeScript class. Now very simple thing. You have a class called app module, right? So you have export class app module, and what do you mean by export? Export is like you are exposing in public, right? And these are the important things. Import statement from this is the package. See now, module package resides in this module. At Angular core, it resides in this particular library. So you are going to get that like this. So this is actually a ES6 syntax import statement. So you got the ng module. Then afterward, what you are going to do is you are going to decorate this class so that you are going to convert this class to a module. So how we are going to do that? Just use this decorator. Simple as that. Right. Then after there are some attributes that belongs to this thing. We'll come to these later. Don't worry about that. But just get an idea how you are going to create a model. Components. Okay. This is, I think, the more frequently using component is this. Here it contains the application logics that governs the UI. Right. So if you have what it produces is something like a CSS tag. Right. That is what you are going to put into your HTML. Right. So that will be compiled to HTML content at the end, right? So you put the logics and you integrate it with the template. Right? I'll come to the template section. Okay, how you are going to write a component is also similar to what we saw in the module. Right? Okay, here start with the class. So you have a class called export again a public class, story component. This is your class, and you have a property, something sort of property. Then what? You are decorating this class as a component. So how you are going to do that? You are using this add component. So add component, like that ng module, right? You are providing two attributes: selector and the template URL. What is the selector? This is what you are referring. This is what you are going to refer in your HTML. This is the tag. So when the Angular sees this tag, it will compile the relevant HTML. And the template URL. This is what you are. This is what it is going to refer. Your structure of the UI resides here. Okay. So this is just a simple dummy HTML content, right? So it can bind with the model. It can bind with the data. Ultimately, it is going to produce an HTML content. Simple as that. So how you are going to, okay, here the example consists with the template as well. The story component HTML. Yeah, this is the HTML that I'm referring, the template. So it has a very simple h3 tag. My name is, and it has these attributes, so that you can pass the whatever the attributes parameters, so that it will show them. And in your main HTML page, so you are using this HTML or CSS selector. So here that is what you mentioned by the selector tag. This is what you give. Simply there's a small component that you write. Understood? Right? Okay. Right, now there are so again this is how you define your components, like the way that I show you previously. So you have to this is the what I mentioned by the selector, and you put it to the HTML like this. Okay. Right, now UI when it comes to real world application, I think you guys from the Droppoint team and I think from project, you know that when it comes to real project, it's not the theoretical part that we are describing here. Right, it might contain complicated things, right? It might contain a huge main parent component. Inside that it might reside several other subcomponents like that. So the inter-component communication thing has to be there. So there are complicated part as well. It's not the simple truth that you see. But what I want to highlight from here is that that's how you build things. Right now, for example, you can see the blog here. So the blog has these are another two selectors, components. Within that component, parent component, there are sub-components, child components, blog title, and another child component like this. It has child components post, right? So it will, so you can write the way according to your business requirement. So see what it rendered at the end of the day. At the end of this Angular compiler, the template compiler, what it does is it will compile it to the whatever the required HTML content. Okay, this is the component tree that I previously showed you. The blog, it has these the tree descendants. This blog title, yeah, this is simple what you saw. Okay, the next thing is template. Now we discussed about modules. We discussed about component. Now what is the component? Component actually draws the thing, right? Using what? Using templates. So this is the other more interesting part that we have discussed. So a template is simply an HTML that tells how Angular render a component. Now, for example, this would be a template. So it has these tags, and you during the runtime you will pass this value so that it will render with the values. So, and I want to tell you that other thing is there is a library, or there is another module that compiles templates. Right now, what happens is at the runtime, or at the build time, the Angular compiles these templates and it will produce the JavaScripts. Right? So that is what you get, ultimately you get as the HTML.
It produces HTML, right?
No, JavaScripts. That's what, not the HTML. So you can do the compilation can happen at build time or at the runtime. I mean at the client browser. When it happens in the client browser, the problem is that the boot time becomes slow because it happens renders there. It's optional. Okay. It's always JavaScript. Always JavaScript. Internal structure elements. Okay. Okay, directives. Now directives. Now we just talked about the components. Now component is another type of a directive. So basically, what Angular does is it follows the instructions that is given by the directives and transfers to DOM. Now there are three kinds of directives: component, structural, and attribute. So we already saw the component directive. Let's see the structural directive. I think we are almost familiar with this, right? This syntax. It's like so you have this asterisk ng4, so that you can loop given list and you can repeat it and you can add to the DOM. There are if conditions that if this object is there, it will produce this output. Likewise. Okay. Yeah, other thing is attribute directive. They are a better binding. There are two. You can have a one-way binding. You can have two-way bindings. So here, two-way binding in the sense like when you change the UI, it will update the model as well. Other way around also possible. If you change the model, the UI get updated. Right? These are called attribute directives. So these are just theory, but highly used in applications. Services. Well, service is nothing much. It's just a simple class. That is the place that you are defining your logics to get. Maybe to get, for example, if you want to get data from a service end, you write that logics in the services. Right. At the end, you are injecting these services using a dependency injection to the components. Right. So there is nothing inside this service. It's just a concept. What you are writing at the end is you are just writing a class. So I will cover these parts during the practical session, but just grab the knowledge. Okay. Other important thing is dependency injections. What is dependency injection? I mean, these are the best practices that we follow. It doesn't need to be in Angular. Now in Angular, dependency injection is a separate module. I mean, you don't need to use this in Angular. You can even use it in a different applications as if you want to use a dependency injection. So basically, you are injecting the dependencies. You are, for example, if you have a, let's say you have a controller in, let's say in traditional MVC application. So you have a controller that there is a class, utility class that you are going to consume. Right, so you are not going to create an object from that utility class. Instead, what you do is you just give that job to someone else. That person knows that component will create the object and it will inject to the controller. So here, basically, you can see the base service is being injected to the consumer. Right. Okay. Modern JavaScript ES 2015 plus. This is ES6, and I just want to show you the how this ES must be released. This will be useful when I'm talking to that particular module. Just to get an idea. At the now we are in the ES6 standard. That is what that's why we are using TypeScript. That's adhere to the ES6 standards. Okay, what are the features, key features in ES6? Okay, it has arrow functions, short like anonymous functions, and the more importantly, it uses classes. I showed you how to write classes in using TS, using TypeScripts. and constant that are provided, default parameters, modules, promises. These are not relevant to this session, but I just wanted to highlight you what are the new releases in ES6.
For a time, even though we have been coding in TypeScript, we have been still compiling them into JavaScript at the given time to maximize browser compatibility. This is still a must. So still more browsers are still out of the box running TypeScript
for the moment. As there are browsers that supports ECMAScript 6. A browser supports ES6 means it adheres to classes.
So that means if we just place a TypeScript code, it will run on the browser.
I haven't tried that, Ravi.
It's a different type. It is a different integrator.
But what the future, as far as I had this discussion with Chakrapani times back, what he said that the future is going to be the TypeScript. The Java is going to be like a dying language, right? So the browser itself, it will directly run the TypeScript because ECMAScript 6 means TypeScript. There's no difference.
They have adopted the TypeScript syntax and the concepts. Ideally, the browser should run
Exactly, TypeScript.
TypeScript.
Maybe
ES6.
Yes.
But still,
I haven't done any research on this.
definitely not ideal.
Yeah.
This Chrome.
Okay. Alright, now I just wanted to mention about something that I already highlighted, the modules. JavaScript, the modules that we are going to use in ES6. Most of the modules that we are importing using this syntax. So I guess you import from the library and whatever component or the module that you are going to import. This is how you write. And you will find a lot of similar cases when you are writing a real world application. Okay, this is something just want to show you the tools that I interacted with and found. I don't know, like I haven't get exposure to work with a lot of JavaScript frameworks, but to be honest, when I was going through this Angular 2, I think I found a hell lot of technologies that anyone can pick any topic from here and can do a lot of interesting topic presentation on this. So there are npm that I will show you this node package manager, the gulp, the task building, Jasmine. I think Asanka did one presentation on this. It's like another TypeScript which compiles to JavaScript ES6, and yes, I haven't used a lot on this TypeScript, of course we have discussed. Yeah. Okay. Time for some coding. Let's okay, I'm going to create a new project from scratch, and this will be an ASP.NET Core application. I'm pretty sure that most of guys are here have heard about ASP.NET Core. Aruna did a recent presentation on this. Okay, so I'm going to create a ASP.NET Core web application. Say Alright, so the structure is is a bit different. You can see this www root folder. Other than that, a lot of things you might be familiar. Now here, this is the place. This is a bit interesting place where you put all your static files and JavaScript, CSS files, everything that you put to www root folder. Okay. Alright, now before we start Angular, what we have to do is we need to get the packages of Angular. Right, or we need to get the modules, the things that we require. So how we are going to get that? In in Visual Studio, if you want to get the get dependencies or modules, what you do is we use NuGet, right? So something similar. We have the option in Visual Studio 2015. I'm not sure whether it's with upgrade 3 or you can have it supports Node Package Manager or NPM. Another thing is Bower. Bower is another NPM. Is a package manager that is built by Twitter. Yeah. They are the one who owns this. But I'm using NPM to get the dependencies for Angular, right? For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first in your machine you need to install Node.js. So it's just you have to download it and you have to install it. Just see whether I have installed Node. So you can just check Node version. So you can see it's all installed, and you need NPM, the package manager. You can check that as well. Okay, it's there. So I'm going to use those. I'm going to use the NPM, but for that I need to have the configuration file that is read by NPM or package manager. So this is called as npm configuration file and called as aka package.json. So I'm going to add that. Right. So I have already I have just wrote down these dependencies there because there are a lot of dependencies which I need to get. First, I will get those. Right. I will explain it to you while this get download because it takes some time. So what you have to do is you can just hit the save button, or you can just press Ctrl save. It will start getting the dependencies from the Node package. The NPM will get all these dependencies for me. Okay, I'm going not NuGet, Node Package Manager. Okay, so I'm going to press save. Let's see. So now we can see here this part. Now it starts restoring. Now it is going to download all the dependencies which are mentioned here. Okay. Now what are these things? Okay. The most important things at this stage are the dependencies and new dependencies. Dependencies are the things that is required in order to develop and distribute your Angular. So these are the main Angular component. See the Angular core is there. So see they are now in different modules. I'm not sure how. If I ask you this in Angular 1, how do they have it? Do they have this kind of a structure? Did they have okay, that's fine. So you have different modules. Okay.
Sort of put the whole bundle
at once. Okay. Right. So here, as you can see, now it's been split into different modules. The core, the Angular core, and this is the compiler that used to compile the templates and the forms. The HTTP, if you are making HTTP calls, that you can have this one platform browser that used to run on real browsers, because Angular 2 runs not only running in browser, normal Windows browser, it runs on mobile apps as well. Right. So for that, you are running in browser, so you need to have this module. And there are things like router for routing, and this RxJS is a very interesting library called JavaScript Reactive.js. Okay. Yes, Reactive.js. And Core.js, this contains the shims. Shims too. For that means like if you have a legacy browser, right, which does not understand ES5 or ES6, this will facilitate to interpret ES6 syntaxes to ES5, or based on that particular browser's is supporting ES version. So these are like shims. What do we call as monkey patches? That they call. It has in Core.js, it has different JavaScript libraries like Shim.js library. Once it will get downloaded, I will show you that. Okay, another thing about this can go to in-memory web API. Like if you want to simulate the service calls in your machine, you can use this library. You don't need to make HTTP calls. Dev dependencies are like these are not required in the live or the production, right? It is only required for the developers. The TypeScript compiler, the gulp, the task manager, and these other things are also related to gulp. Yeah. Okay. So right now the other section is called scripts. You can see it has a script post installed. This is going to install typings. At the end, after I download these packages, it will after a post install, after the installation happens, this command will get executed and it will install the typings. Okay, I will show you that part. Okay, now let's see the things that I downloaded here. Now you can see the libraries are contained in the folder, and let's see the actual downloads. So they are contained in a folder called Node module. These are the things that I downloaded. Right now in ASP.NET Core, we can't keep these things here because the static files has to be shifted to the www root. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a task that will do that job for me. Okay. So I'm using gulp for that. So I'm going to create a gulp task for that. So you can find the gulp configuration file here, gulp file.js. Let's add it. Basically, that also just I copied. Add that task here. I will explain to you what it does.
In future Visual Studio versions, they might see this with the default ASP.NET template.
True, that's true. Yes. So here, what these are the tasks. Script end styles, watch. These are the tasks that you created, and this is one task is kind of bundled. These two tasks. Okay. So here, what I'm doing in this task is I'm copying the source is gulp.source. I'm giving the locations of these libraries, and I'm telling them to pipe to this destination called www root libs. There's no folder called www libs, but just lib I have. I'm going to create the libs using this thing. Right. Before that, it has a task called clean, so it will delete that. If it exists, it will delete first. Yes, and okay. Right now, before that, I need to have one more thing. Now we are using TypeScript, so for our development. Now, in order to compile a TypeScript file that you wrote, you need to have a configuration file. So that is you define in tsconfig. So this configuration file will contain the information or instruction that is required by the TypeScript compiler. Okay. Now remember, I downloaded the TypeScript compiler with the NuGet package. Sometimes Visual Studio also comes with the default. It has built-in TypeScript compiler, I guess. Okay. So I'm going to have this TypeScript configuration file. Okay, let me quickly add these things to the configuration file, and I will explain it to you. Right, here basically what the important things are that at the end of the configuration, I want to copy my content that produced the JavaScript folder to this particular output directory, because as I said earlier, it is the place that we are going to store the static files, right? Always remember www root, you should put all the static files. So whatever the things that get generated from the TypeScript, you have to copy to this place. Okay, right. Source map true. There are things like that means like once you build it, the JavaScript has the map to the relevant TypeScript file, so that when you are compiling in the when you are debugging in the file, so when you are debugging in the browser, so that you for the developers, basically for debugging purposes. And the targeting is ES5. Other things are not. I also haven't gone through each and everything. Here, other thing is about compile on save is that when you press the save button to trigger compiling the TypeScript. Like in my Visual Studio, this is editor thing. So when you type something and after you press the save button, the compiler will trigger and it will compile the TypeScript to JavaScript. Right? And exclude in the sense like do not compile these files. Right? Already there maybe a lot of things are definition files, and because not under this module contain all the libraries, right? So you don't need to compile it. So you can either exclude, or you can put thing called files. That tag I didn't include here. What happens is if you given that instruction, the file section, then it will compile only those files that you mentioned in the files attribute. Okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to run my gulp task.
Why it's targeting for ES5 rather than targeting for ES6? Because browsers
current browser not yeah. This is just you can have ES6 as well. This is just a sample thing. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. I mean, the other thing that you are targeting, you can mention it. There's no specific restriction that you have to go with this file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the gulp task. So how you are running the gulp task is like this. Just right click on the gulp file and see the task run explorer. Click on this one. There is a small issue. Okay, we've succeeded. Yeah, output for the task run explorer. tsconfig file. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, now I think I couldn't end at this. This particular folder that I'm referring in my gulp task. Let me check. Yes, it refers the script slash TypeScript. Yeah, script slash tsconfig.js. So I need to have this. Anyway, I'm going to have this structure script so that I'm going to write all my TypeScript files here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this tsconfig to the script folder. There's nothing wrong here, but I forgot to include the directory called scripts, so that the things that I'm going to write in TypeScript will put there. Okay, now let's see. Okay, right now I'm going to run the task. So first of all, I will just run the default task. Can you remember that I mentioned that default run task consists with the two tasks that you can execute. So once you run this task, it will run two tasks. Gulp file, you can see script and these two. Okay, I'm going to run this one. Either you can run it manually, or you can you can bind it maybe after build operation. So every time you build, this task will run. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just run it. Okay, so I think it's still copying. Now what is going to happen at the end of this task is it is going to copy the things that I mentioned here. What are the things mentioned? Core.js, System.js, Reflect, Rx. These will get copied to the www root. That is what I want, because I'm going to put them to the static location. So now you can see there's a folder called libs that got created, and still the Core.js is there. Others are, I think, still copying. No, it's it's like jQuery. Yeah, Baba. Yes, you should with the jQuery validation. Yeah. Okay, until that gets complete, I will continue with the presentation. Next thing is that I need to have the typings. For the editor and for the compiler, TypeScript compiler, it needs to have the definition files. Now most of the Angular definition files are shifted with the package. For example, in Angular core you can see all the definition files that are required, but for jQuery, for Jasmine unit testing thing, they don't have the they don't come with that by default. With the package it doesn't contain the definition files. So what we need to get is we need to get the definitions file separately. That's why I had this thing called the package.json. Sorry, in the TypeScript configuration file. Wait, I can't move this thing. It's still copying the files.
If we most of the popular libraries, someone would have written the definition files as well. So if we find some chart like whatever JavaScript plugin here, we get it, but one has written the
definition file. Yes.
Such a case, out of desperation, can we write a TypeScript definition file looking at the functions available?
Where is it?
Defining the interface, right? For the
Yes,
public
yes.
functions that are available.
Yeah, but that's again, I'm not pretty much about TypeScript.
Is there a type definition generator?
Maybe by looking at the JavaScript library, but no, I haven't used that. But most of the popular libraries, like I think we have worked with the data tables, things like that. They have the definition files for the with the TypeScript version. Okay, now it copied the. Now let's see. Look at the. Okay, now we can see it copied these the content from the location I previously mentioned. Right, now let's quickly add the typings file. So the typings file contains the core.js. The core.js are for the legacy, for the legacy browsers to run the ES6, Jasmine and Node. So I will just add this quickly to the root of the form, to the root of the project. Okay. Check that. Yes, it should be JSON. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, correct. JSON file. Okay. Again, I will restore the package JSON so that it will do this post install and it will get the typings for me. I can see it's restoring. Now let's see whether I can see a folder. Okay, typings. Okay, I got it. So it's there. It contains the core.js, so the definition file are there. See, just means not. Now let's the basic configuration part is done. Now what we have to do is we have to write a simple app to see how it goes. Let's do that. So I wrote the required files. The first I will quickly add the component. Remember the component file, the module file, the main module, which I need. So first I will add the component and I will explain to you what is that. So I'm going to add this thing to the scripts folder. Okay. And just for your knowledge, this is the best practices when you are writing these components. Always follow this convention. Like if you are writing it, just first you should include the business case. What is that component for? For example, it can be a project. Then afterward include what's the type of that. It's a component. Project.component.ts. So we'll go with that structure. So I'm going to have my case. I'm going to use app.component.ts TypeScript file, and yeah, I will quickly add this. Otherwise, it will take some time to write this thing. And I will explain to you what is this. Basically what it does is it just got this from component Angular core, and got the module called component, and I have a class called app component. Just have a string variable, and these are the attributes. This is the template name, or the selector name, and this is my template. You can have this template URL. Either you can have URL this. Either you can put a URL and you can add the templates somewhere in the www root, and you can provide the URL, or else you can just mention it here. Okay, I'm going to have the modules, the root module. Okay, this is going to be my app.module.ts because it is module. Okay, what happens here is that I again something similar to what I mentioned. Now I have the app component from the component or from the module that I wrote, right? So this is the class, the TypeScript class, right? Then I decorated that class as an ng module, as a module. The imports, the things that will be required, I'm going to import this particular module to this my module, the one that I'm referring. And bootstrapping, I'm going to bootstrap my app. The app, you have to mention the root component. So only the root, you have to mention only the root component here. The declarations, not sure about this part. Okay, so I have added the app.module.ts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the main.ts. This is the bootstrapping part. Right. Now what we are going to do is, what this class does is, it is going to bootstrap my application, right? So I mentioned the module that I'm going to bootstrap.
This is sort of like the main method.
Exactly. Yes, this one will get triggered first. So this is the one that is going to refer from the HTML page.
It's not a class, it's just plain JavaScript function.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a function.
A function, yeah, TypeScript file. It ultimately get to a JavaScript file. That's true. But what it does, it has this platform browser. Now I'm running this in browser, so I need to have that particular module, and then I'm going to bootstrap my app. My app module knows what to load, what component to load. As you can see, the component bootstrap the app component. Okay, now I think the last thing that I have to do is I need to include this to my view. My default MVC view has index.cs HTML, so I will use that one here. Okay, I loaded all the JavaScript classes, and one more thing, this config system.js config. Do you know what is this class? This library is a module loader. Basically, to load all my modules that I mentioned that are required to my application is configured in a file called systemjs.config.js. That is the configuration file which is required by this library. It will refer that class, and it will configuration file, and it will load the modules. And there's another module loader called Webpack. So it's choice. It's choice on your hand, right? You can decide either system.js or you can either use Webpack. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the system.js config file. Yeah, this file. I'm going to put it inside www root, okay, in my static place. This is JavaScript. Sorry?
System.js is loading a module.
Yeah, all the modules that is required. Yeah, I will show you. Yeah, I will show that. Now inside this class, that's the most important thing. I mean, if you can set up this level learning Angular, I think that's not a big issue. See, now we loaded the Angular libraries, RxJS things, and my app. Okay, this is the module loader, and you added that as a reference here. Okay. Now what you can do is you can now rebuild the application and see. Now it should, okay, it creates the app scripts folder. Now it will compile the TS files and it will put to compile the JavaScript and it will put to this folder. I have configured that this behavior using TS config file. If you can remember that, the TS config is the compiler's configuration file. It will instruct to copy the content that is produced from the TS to the app scripts. That's it. Hope this will run. Let's see.
One more thing you can do is yourself. So you have set up and you are working. Now suddenly you have to download and refer to another module. Say some other library like RxJS, some other thing. How many places will you have to update? You might have to update system.js.
Yes.
And maybe some other place, some TypeScript header, put an import.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good idea to maybe keep a checklist.
True. Yeah. Even first time, and I was also going through this. It was a bit confused. So that's why I told that in the beginning of the presentation that this part is configuration things are now the trend is that it's not the traditional UI that we got everything you have to configure like the open source community, right? So okay, so it's working now. This is the parameter I passed and it got it and it renders the output. Yeah, so there are a lot of things to show. I just set up a different project, but it's basically. But the important part is this part. Like once you're able to set up and once you have to understand the concepts, learning this Angular, working with a Visual Studio IDE and ASP.NET is not going to be a big issue. Now onwards, anyone can. If you understood this correctly. You can just learn Angular 2 without any issue. Yeah, so that came to the end of the presentation. Any more questions? No, this configuration is for Angular 2. But the project structure, you have to remember about the www root.
Sort of configuration for the core application.
No, there are no such. Like if you go to this angular.io, that is the official website for Angular. They have the same instructions given, but they are not targeting for Visual Studio. But I extra used what you call gulp task to copy the things that downloaded. If you can remember that I downloaded the dependencies and I copied using a gulp task. Things like that I did. Important
To fit into the
Visual Studio environment. Yes, correct. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much.